In 1902, Father built a house at the crest of the Broadview Avenue Hill in New Rochelle, New York. It was a 3-story brown shingle with dormers, bay windows, and a screened porch. Stripped awnings shaded the windows. The family took possession of this stout manse on a sunny day in June, and it seemed for some years thereafter that all their days would be warm and fair. The best part of Father's income was derived from the manufacture of flags and buntings and other accoutrements of patriotism, including fireworks. Patriotism was a reliable sentiment in the early 1900s. Teddy Roosevelt was president. The population customarily gathered in great numbers, either out of doors for parades, public concerts, fish fries, political picnics, social outings, or indoors in meeting halls, vaudeville theaters, operas, and ballrooms. There seemed to be no entertainment that did not involve great swarms of people. Trains and steamers and trolleys moved them from one place to another. That was the style. That was the way people lived. Hey guys, I'm back again, and I'm here with a review of E.L. Doctorow's Ragtime. All right, so this is one of the E.L. Doctorow books that I have been dying to read, and Ragtime is a modern classic. And when we think of modern classics, we think of books that plunge us into a different time period, but the story contains elements that touch us today the same way as it touched, people back in the day. And that's what makes a classic. So Ragtime is a book that plunges the reader into the turn of the century, from the end of the 19th century to the beginning of the 20th century. And what it does is it explores the beginning of the development of race and how the immigrants come from all over the world to New York. This is basically is taking place in New York City, and how the immigrants mix with the other Americans, the WASP, that are there, that control everything, that have the money, power, political power, and everything, and how these immigrants fit into, or should I say, try to fit into the scheme. And the thing about Ragtime that's really interesting is Doctorow explores these themes of industrialization, change, immigration. He explores all of this through some main characters, which are actually real people. So that's the beauty about this book, is that you have real people in the story mixed in with characters. So how does he do this? He does this through exploring a storyline through Houdini, also through J.P. Morgan. He also explores it through Henry Ford. And it's through these men that, because these are men of power and these are men of change. And it shows the difficulty for some people to accord with the time of change, and how others take full advantage and profit from this, henceforth becoming richer and more powerful. And this is a stunning story, because it's a story with a lot of excellent writing craft going on. And what we have is the story being told by, I won't say who, but it's a strong white male voice. And this strong white male voice accompanies us through this story. And in the beginning, when I started reading it, it made me think of Philip Roth. It reminded me of how the voices in Philip Roth's stories sound. Now, I've only read American Pastoral, Married a Communist, and Plot Against America. So there's this similar male white voice in those stories that reminded me of the voice in this one. So in the beginning, it was a bit off-putting for me, but then I eventually got used to it. I think I might have gotten used to it like around chapter 7. When I was about like right here, I started to kind of jive a bit better with the story, because then it brings in a character called Tata, and he's an immigrant. And his story is very interesting because it shows that immigrant story, a man who has a lot of pride, and how he attempts to adapt to this new world that he's in, America. But there's also another character in here who's very interesting. His name is Coalhouse Walker. Coalhouse Walker. Ooh, child. Coalhouse is a Black man who is a pianist, who works in a ragtime, kind of bar. And he is a man with class, holds himself with dignity and pride. And he drives a Model T Ford. And white people look at him like, why is he not bowing and scraping and doing the massa, massa, massa? And he's not that kind of Black man. Oof. And when Coalhouse comes in, the story takes a whole new dimension. But the thing that's really interesting is the way that Dr. Rowe goes about using all of these different main characters that are real people mixed with the characters in the story, and how he pushes through these themes of change, industrialization, and all of these themes together. I highly recommend this book. The writing style, it seems very simplistic. It doesn't, there's no fancy, descriptions or anything. It's very almost journalistic to a certain extent. You can kind of tell by the first section that I read to you was really the very beginning of the book. And it sets quite a particular tone. But guess what? I feel like it's very effective, and there's nothing wrong with this simplistic writing, but it is a complex written story that is very worthwhile reading. And it is something that I know I will definitely reread, because I have a feeling that I'm going to see even more than the tabs that I marked already that I saw the first time I read the book. But I think I will definitely want to read this again at a later date, because it was really quite an interesting read. I wasn't wasn't over the moon about it as I was reading it in the first half, but I grew to like it very quickly once I was midway through. But it's because I could see that he was doing a lot of things and he was saying a lot of things. So I can see why this has become a modern classic. Now, I have not seen the movie, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen the movie. I would be interested to know, if you've read the book and seen the movie, if you feel like the movie did the book justice. I have a feeling it didn't, just because I see how complex the story really is. Even though it's not a long story, it's just 270 pages, but it's a complex story, and I can't see them doing this really well in film. So if you have read the book and seen the film, comment below and let me know what you thought. Let's have a talk. Have you read Ragtime? Do you want to read Ragtime? Let's talk about it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.